And joining us today on our Book Talk segment is a woman who has written a book that's going to provide some helpful information, I'm sure. It's called Confessions of a Credit Junkie, Everything You Need to Know How to Avoid the Mistakes I Made. We're joined today by Beverly Harzog up in Georgia today. And Beverly, good to talk to you. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Had a chance to read through the book the last couple of days, and I think particularly now as we do this interview before the holiday season, I think a lot of people are going to be paying more attention to their credit, right? With Christmas gifts coming up and end of the year and all that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of people are still recovering from the recession, so some of those credit cards might be coming up during the holidays.
And if anybody's like me, and you talk about it in the book, you get your mailbox inundated with credit card offers.
Mm-hmm.
I guess throughout the entire year, but I guess certain times of the year they want to make sure you have it ready to go before big purchases, and that's become a big problem, hasn't it, for people?
Well, it has. And, sometimes there are some very good offers that you get in the mail, and, they're targeted. So if you've got excellent credit, you're going to get credit card offers for excellent credit. Right now I'm seeing some really good sign-up bonuses. So they're very intriguing and they're tempting. But, it's important not to jump into one of these cards without reading all the fine print. It's important to just, pick a card that works for you and for your lifestyle. And if you don't need a card, just pass. You don't need to have more than a few.
I must get one or two a week, and then you get the other mail from your current credit cards where they send you the updated, like you said, the fine print, or your credit is going to be going to a different company, is going to take over. I know Best Buy did that recently, so a lot of things changing all the time with credit.
That's right. It's just so important to read every piece of mail that comes from your credit card issuer, and sometimes it comes via email. I get both, sometimes email, sometimes in my mailbox, but it's very important to read these things because if they're going to make any changes to the terms, you're going to get notice about that. And so you need to know if there are any increased fees or if your interest rate's going up. It's just, read everything that comes in.
Yeah, I was surprised just kind of looking through, the interest rates, how much they've gone up, in the last couple of years. I know back when I first started to get credit, 10, 14%, maybe been the high end. Now it's 28, 30, even more, I guess, if you're late, right, on a payment.
Right, and I think that one of the reasons the interest rates are getting a little bit higher in some of these cards, they have ranges where it might start as low as 12%, but then it might go up as high as 22%. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons we're seeing wider ranges now is because credit card issuers are starting to offer some of these cards to consumers whose credit scores are on the way up, but they're not exactly excellent credit scores yet. So they're sort of widening the net a little bit, which is good for somebody who, doesn't quite have the great credit score, but they can still get, a pretty good credit card. It's just important, so important, if you're at the high end, that you never carry a balance. You get in trouble in a hurry.
I would say in the old days, they used to be called USury, charging 30%.
Right, exactly.
You don't see that term anymore, but that used to be, 30%. That's a loan shark.
No, you don't. And yes, it does get up there, to be kind of like a loan shark a little bit. But you can, especially these are rewards cards. Some of them have, the higher interest rates. And, if it's a card that you're going to use and you're going to benefit, I believe that, in making money from my credit cards, I profit from mine. So, and you can do that as long as you don't carry a balance. So, for somebody that's not going to carry a balance, I wouldn't worry too much about that interest rate. But I also recommend that you always have a credit card that has the lowest interest rate possible that you can qualify for as an emergency card. Just something to keep in your back pocket. If you need a new refrigerator, a new roof, and you don't have the cash flow, nice to have a card with a very low rate.
Yeah, that's the key, and you talk about it in the book.
Mm-hmm.
You pay off your bill every month, and it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. You just don't carry any over
exactly.
every month. But some people, unfortunately, either they get in trouble, maybe they just don't have the money, or they're just, don't think ahead. That's when they can really get into a hole.
Yeah, that's true. And, sometimes bad things happen to all of us. You might lose your job, or maybe that bonus you were counting on didn't happen after all. So it's good to have, at least one card with a very low interest rate. Unfortunately, you need to have excellent credit to get that, but that's something that everyone can work towards. So just, have an emergency fund in your bank account, but also nice to have a credit card that has a low interest rate for those other types of emergencies.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I mean, if used properly, like anything else. But now you talk in the book a lot. You just mentioned it before about credit score. That's you always hear that in ads. Kind of an ambiguous thing, and people really aren't quite sure what that is or how it's determined. Do you think people understand that at all?
No. That's my one-word answer. No.
I know it's between 500 and 750 or 800. Isn't that basically the range? But what does that mean exactly?
Right. FICO score is 300 to 850. But it also depends on which scores you're talking about, because the ranges are all different. And this is why it's so crazy out there trying to understand credit scores. I put a chapter in the book because I wanted to explain this in simple language as best I could. Because really, there's just a couple of things you need to know. Yes, there are many, many credit scores out there. There's a FICO score, there's Vantage score, there's all kinds of things. There are even specialty scores like just for auto loans, so that people can determine, what your credit rating is in terms of, whether or not you would default in an auto loan. So it gets very specific even. But what I try to point out in my book is that the credit card issuers, 90% of them only look at the FICO scores as their main thing. So, so I focus on that in my book. And just, there are some factors that you need to know, that you need to think about to have a good score. And although we can't know exactly what our score is at any point in time, because really things fluctuate quite a bit, what I wanted people to understand was that they can get a FICO score and have an idea of what their general credit health is. So I kind of look at it as, I told somebody once, this is kind of like trying to catch the wind, trying to find out what exactly your score is. But, I get my score a couple of times a year on myfico.com. I just want to know what it is at that point in time. It's kind of like a snapshot, and that tells me how I'm doing. So basically, I just want people to understand that I don't want them to obsess about their scores. But if you do things like pay your bills on time, not just credit card bills, but all of your bills, your electricity bill, your cell phone bill, all these things, use your card responsibly, don't carry a balance, pay everything on time, all of these things will lend itself to developing a very good score, even if you can't know the specifics of what's going into that score.
What about the reward card? I know you talk about that, and there's so many companies will give you either airline tickets or mileage or gas points, or Amazon gives you points to buy there. Are they worthwhile? Because sometimes there's fees associated, and the fee is more than you probably get on the reward.
That's a great question, and it's a situation where a consumer has to do somewhat of a cost-benefit analysis. How much is this card going to cost you per year? And based on what you know of your own spending habits, are you going to benefit from that card? Because, a card that gives you great gas rewards isn't going to pay off for somebody that, rides the bus or works out of their house and doesn't drive that much. So, it's important to pick the card that works best for you when it comes to rewards, because there's so many different options out there. And if you do that and you really maximize the benefit from the rewards, you could make a lot of money. But then you have to consider, if there's an annual fee, you have to deduct that from, the benefit you're going to get and see if it still makes sense for you.
Yeah. And you have a chapter in the book, we won't really have time to go into it, but how you can use transfer balances. If you use it properly, you can actually, like you said, make some money, right?
Oh, you can. And, getting a 0% balance transfer is a great way to get out of debt. You could transfer your credit card balance from, let's say you've got one of those 22% APRs, which is horrible balance to happen.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and maybe you've got some debt. Maybe you've got $10,000 or something. Transfer that to a 0% balance transfer card, and for a certain amount of time, it's usually between 12 and 18 months, you get to pay down that debt without paying interest. Now, there is usually, in most cases, a transfer fee involved, but I find that most people still come out way ahead, something like that, depending on what their specific numbers are.
Do you think people are more credit conscious? Or I know with the recession a few years ago, people, were kind of forced to, look at their finances. Is it better, worse, same? Well, what do you think?
I'm an eternal optimist. I think things are better. I do. One thing about the recession is it made us all think really hard about our spending, any debt that we have, just our personal finances, looking ahead to retirement. I think it made us all very, very aware of our finances, and I think that that's a good thing. I wish it hadn't been the recession that triggered it, but it's a good thing to really pay attention to what you're doing. And I think that having, websites dedicated to personal finance, just having all this information at your fingertips, I think it's just a wonderful time to empower yourself with knowledge. It's easy to get access to information now. I like that.
Confessions of a Credit Junkie is the name of the book. We've been talking with Beverly Harzog today. And Beverly, I know you have a website where you do a blog. Give that out, or where people get the book?
I do. I blog at BeverlyHarzog.com. That's HARZOG. I blog about current goings-on in the credit card industry, and I also do credit card reviews, and I'll even do requests if someone has a card they would like for me to review. Great. And my book is available at Amazon and in major bookstores.
Yeah, it's published by Career Press, careerpress.com. And, well, Beverly, appreciate you taking a few minutes. And, again, good information in the book. And let us know if you have another book coming out in the future. We'll have you back on again. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, that'd be great, Doug. Thank you.